bit over 20 bucks.
Find one of
I
those
probably
red
should
ones
know.
in your pocket.
Um,
Nice way to have a lunch.
and you don't have to drink it and then go and hit the balls. You can actually drink it as you hit your balls,
You can drink
So-
the beer as you hit your balls
Yeah.
in the sun.
which is good.
Yeah,
Very good.
magnificent. Magnificent. No, anyway, look, nice to see you here. All's well?
Can I just say, down at Woodlands Golf Club today,
Yeah.
do you remember when we used to play Vic Opens at Woodlands Golf Club?
Oh, I remember one particular Vic Open at the Woodlands Golf Club that I'll tell you about in a tick because I know you got another story.
Well, not a major story, but they were baking off a little bit, the greens. And the most unique thing, people don't realise, the Sandbelt is one of the only places in the world where amateurs occasionally experience tournament-like conditions. I'm talking about that hard,
Yep.
bouncy, crusty,
Yes.
shaved down, 4-footers down the hill left to right are knee tremblers.
Yep.
And Woodlands today was just, if you got the right angle, it
Put
was
on a
like
show.
glass.
Ooh, nice.
And I love Woodlands because we were talking about if they played a US Tour event at a course like that, raised greens,
I want to see
really,
the scores.
really bouncy. What do you think the score would be?
16 under.
You think 16?
Well,
Yeah,
look,
I said 12.
I think it's the toughest short course on the planet.
Yeah.
Look, it is a beauty, and it's a place where what the big boys hitting off the first. 2 iron to the
The
corner.
boys today, that was down when the boys can drive that green at 1 now.
So don't worry
Nearly.
about 2 iron to the corner.
2 iron over
What
the
about
corner.
turn it? Would they turn a 3-wood so they've got 40 yards to the front, or would you reckon
Yeah,
they just
easy.
pull driver?
The PGA Tour players would be hitting 3-wood up next to that green.
Righto. So second's a driver and a 8 iron.
Yep.
What are they doing on the next
Well,
side?
the thing is, though, Marco,
Short dog leg right.
you got
around the
raised
corner.
firm greens, so if they start doing this, if they're not in perfect position, they're done.
Yeah, I know. Or if they're in the rough.
And they're not
Done.
used to playing from the left trap on 5 to a back left pin.
So I think an
Right.
Australian would win this one.
I
If
do
there was
too.
if there was a US Tour event at Woodlands, my money would be on Jeff Ogilvy to win.
If we had a US Tour event in Melbourne once a year,
Yeah.
we would have, in the next decade, we'd have 5 more Aussie players on tour.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, that's what was happening when the Web.com tour was part of the Australian tour.
Maybe 3.
There were 3 tournaments on the Web.com tour. I reckon Al Presnell won
Yep.
one of them one
Yep.
year, and he got on. Paul Sheen won one year.
Yep.
He didn't get on the big tour, but he certainly won one.
You got through to the finals at Q School, probably.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of ways to get on, and see, don't get me started. I'm feeling myself getting started because that was a pathway. That was a beautiful pathway to get onto the US tour. Unfortunately, today there is no pathway to get anywhere unless you actually win one of our European tour events, which isn't the Australian Open, which is Perth or the USP or the Australian PGA.
Yeah.
But there's no pathway. And I've spoken about this before. In 19 this is me, and I wasn't much chop. But in 1992, 93, that was the season back then.
Yep.
I finished 13th on the Order of Merit.
Yep.
Over that summer. That got me to the last stage of the US Tour School. So I played a full season, a full summer, and because I played reasonably well, I got to the last stage. Now, if you played slightly worse than me, you got to the second stage. If you played slightly, a little bit, you still had the ability to get to the starting stage. But there was a pathway, Craig. Now, I put to you, if you're an Australian kid who gets his Australian tour card, what's the pathway to Europe or to the USA?
Well, you would have heard our discussion with Ryan Lynch last week. On
I would have
Chasing
loved to
Birdies.
have been a part
Q
of that
schools.
discussion.
What
Q
ab-
school.
What about
But-
this little beauty? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, go on. I was going to say Q schools, but you've got to start at the start, and Q school only gets you to the web.com.
And
Good luck.
the absolute biggest thing that came out of that discussion was at Q School in Japan, if you tie, they do a countback. They don't do.
They do.
They
Nice.
do a countback, pal.
Based on what's the countback based on?
Based on the best holes coming in.
So
like
if
they
you,
do
beat
it-
the last,
Yes, they do a countback.
oh come
I'm
on!
not kidding. Ryan Lynch sat where I was, where I am right now last week, and
Yeah.
said, "Pal, 35 plus ties in America, not in Japan. So you drop,
Just
4
35.
trips. You drop 4 trips, $15,000, $20,000,
You'd roll the account back.
and you could be gone on account back.
Oh, that's the most ridiculous
I don't know if
thing.
it continues through to finals, but it does on the other stages.
So you go through all those stages, and in the end, the only thing that counts is what you do in the last hole.
Correct.
Well, it's the stupidest thing
last
I've ever
3
heard
or
of in my
however
life.
they do it.
It's almost as stupid as the pathway situation that we have here in Australia. It's very, very sad because here's the thing, and you would have spoken about this with Ryan, I guarantee it. The guns are always going to get there because they're guns. Leishman, Day, Scott. They're guns. They'll find a way. The blokes just under them. They're the ones that need to play against the best early so that they can gauge what they need to improve and get on it and get amongst it.
The workhorses.
You've got to get amongst the best players in the world. It's no good joining up with the best players in the world when you're 36 and you've just missed out on 100 tour schools because you don't accumulate the money to keep you going.
True.
So that's why, and I'll say it again, if our small tournaments aren't on one side of Christmas and they all mean something to where the top 30 on that order of merit then get into 4 European tournaments that are set up in February, and if you finish in the top 30, you get into those 4. One way, you could do that deal with Europe. I know you could do that deal with Europe. I know you could.
Yeah.
Throw in the New Zealand Open as well. That can be part of it. Fiji's part of it now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fiji's part of
Even
it.
Fiji's
You
in
might
there.
have 6 tournaments in a row that if you played well in the Vic Open and the Vic PGA, and
Yes.
the New Queensland Open, the Queensland, and so on and so forth, that gets you 6 tournaments on the European circuit
Yeah, be
to
huge.
make some hay while that 6-week period is shining.
It'd be huge.
That's a pathway. But right now, the only pathway we've got is if somehow you win.
Yeah. Or go to Q school,
Or go to, well,
which
yeah,
is, as you know,
it's not a pathway.
It's
Anyone can
brutal.
do that.
Now,
Anyone can enter a tour school. That's not a pathway. A pathway is if you play really well in Australia, then you get
yeah.
all the way through to the last stage of the tour school. And you know what the last stage used to do?
Yeah.
If you missed your card,
You got
then you
your
got on the
secondary.
web.com tour.
Yep.
So it's ridiculous what's happening today.
Hats off to Dave McKenzie again.
Oh,
He's
a
finished
freak.
top 5 or top 6 last week as well.
Seniors tour,
Seniors Tour,
Champions tour. Excuse me.
Champions Tour.
Yeah, brilliant.
So he must have locked up status for next year just by Monday qualifying.
Well, you've got to finish in the top 30. This is how it was explained to me. Even when Peter Senior qualified. So if you're a qualifier at the tour school, they only give out 5 spots at the Champions Tour school. Peter Senior won one of those spots. I think he won it. But a condition of getting your card that way on the Champions Tour is that you had to finish in the top 30 to keep your card. Otherwise, you're back. Because so many come in each year. So when they turn 50, they look at how many tournaments you've won and you just pretty much go in. So the spots available aren't there.
I think it's top 30, but also you've got certain guys that are guaranteed starters,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
So Greg Norman could start playing whenever he wanted
Whenever he
to.
wants. Yeah.
Not just on invites, but he'd actually be exempt.
Won 20 tournaments on the US Tour, so he's all set.
Did he win 20?
He won 20. Yeah,
the dot.
he won 18, and then 1 year they decided that Opens counted. So the
Oh,
two
yes.
Opens that he won got him to 20, which is a lifetime exemption. You win 20 tournaments on the PGA Tour, lifetime exemption.
Speaking of the Shark, he was at Royal this week. Did you see that?
I didn't see him at Royal. I saw him opening the
He
golf
opened
course Cathedral, yeah.
Cathedral Rock or whatever it was.
No,
Cathedral Lodge.
Cathedral, I think it's called.
Cathedral Lodge, I think it is.
Cathedral Lodge, yeah. That looks spectacular. Can't wait to go
Sure
down
it is. He did a Cobra Day at Royal.
there. Did a Cobra Day?
Cobra Day, because he's
What do you
with
mean he
Cobra.
did a Cobra Day?
He's with Cobra.
So what does a Cobra Day
We
entail?
did a Cobra corporate event at Royal, hitting balls out of that new range hut that they've built.
The range hut.
You know, the range
I haven't seen that.
indoor hit out to the range
I
setup.
didn't know they had one of those.
Yeah, they
I
got
was
one of
there
those.
not long ago. I didn't see that.
There's a thing on Facebook for any listener. He's hitting balls for half an hour just answering questions.
Clothes on?
He did not get naked.
Didn't get nude?
Didn't.
Well done, Sharky.
But
Great stuff.
every second comment was, gee, he's in good shape for a 62-year-old. every second comment.
I saw. So he did something on Twitter. If you're on Twitter and you follow Greg, he did this thing the other day where he was in a lift somewhere. And he said you can do exercise everywhere. He was doing these leg ups for his.
Oh my
He
God.
was doing leg ups in an elevator, and he tweeted it out. Oh, I
He did
love
a
his show.
ad with his son the other day for the father and son
Greg Jr.
tournament. Yeah. Again, and they were running and doing sit-ups and
Yeah,
giggling at each other.
giggling.
What do you think about Tiger Woods?
You're talking about the fact that he's got clearance to swing away
Yeah.
and do as much practice as he likes. I tell you, I'll tell you this. He's doing very well on Twitter. I like what he's doing. So we saw the pitching. I'm allowed to pitch now, and he did that. He hit the wedges. We saw that. I think he moved up to like a 6-iron. We kind of saw that on the Twitter feed.
Yep.
And the last one we saw was his driver swing. And at the bottom it just said making progress or whatever it was. So I wish he was doing that back in 98, 99, but Twitter wasn't around. But I wish he was more giving back then. I think that's very giving what he's doing at the moment.
Yeah, I agree.
But when I look at that swing, I think he is, again, 1 million miles away from being any good.
Is that all? 1 million miles.
Yeah. Yep.
What
But
don't you like about it? What don't, other than most of it?
I just think his right shoulder comes up and out like a
yes.
real kind of chopper.
Is that a back saving exercise, or is that just I swing it so bad that that's my fault?
No, I think he knows how to swing the golf club.
Yeah.
I don't think he can swing the golf club that way anymore. And you and I, you're asking me these questions, but you and I were both having a look at it.
Yes.
And we're comparing it to Thomas Peters, who's got a magnificent swing. And I showed you a couple of Sam Snead. And there is no doubt that when he finishes his follow-through these days, he's in a position that a 15 handicapper would find himself in, rather than someone who has really played this game at a very, very high level.
All right. I want to ask you this. Now, I've been around some very, very high qualified golfing people.
Yep.
Between architects, coaches,
Yep.
players,
Yes.
psychologists, right?
Yeah.
So Tiger comes to you
Yeah.
and he says, I want you to fix my swing, but I want you to make it so that my back doesn't get as sore, right?
Yeah. And I'll say,
And so Chris Como goes into a room with the mad scientists, biomechanists, and says, all right, we've sorted it out. You've got to finish with a high right shoulder for this to work, all right? Is that what we're dealing with here?
I think so.
Because I look at Louis Oosthuizen, I look at, I don't know, Adam Scott,
Yeah.
and their core turns really good, really nicely,
Yep.
and they don't look as if they're doing too badly on the back situation.
No, I know. And look, it's funny because when he hurt his back last time, remember when we saw him playing with Dustin Johnson and Jason Day? It's the same swing.
Yeah.
I think that's all he's got. I think that's all he's got. Even though he's got a fused lower back now, I don't think it's like. And if you want to join in the conversation, folks, 9429-1116, you can join us anytime. And we're live on Facebook again tonight. You can head to facebook.com/SEN1116. But I think he's at a point where, like, you know better than most what professional golf is like. It's 30 tournaments a year. Let's say Tiger's playing 20. So basically every second week. Every second week, basically,
Yeah.
you've got to play a practice round, probably just a pro-am these days for him, but you've got to put that shoulder under your chin with force a number of times. And you've got to do it with a bit of punch.
Yes.
And sometimes you've got to hit a hard 8-iron out of the rough. And sometimes you've got to do other kinds of stuff. I don't think he's capable of doing that 4 days in a row with a warm-up and a warm-down. And I don't care how many weights he's doing. I just don't think he's capable of making that swing that we saw Thomas Peters make. And we know that Jack Nicklaus was still making when he was 50 years old. And, all these guys that their spine stayed in the same position basically right until the end of their follow-through. He can't do it anymore, and I think he can't play consistently anymore.
Well, my point was, okay, so he finishes with this high right shoulder, which looks like he's trying to take pain off his back. But if you actually rewind his swing a little bit, just prior to impact, and his left arm and shoulder are
Yeah.
way higher than his right, and he's got enormous amounts of over spine tilt.
Yeah.
That's the issue. It doesn't matter. That's where all the crunching and jarring and impact pain comes on.
Yeah.
So to me, yeah, I know what I see that they're trying to, make his spine nice and straight there at the end,
Yeah.
but I just feel like they're sort of trying to outsmart or trying to reinvent the wheel a little bit with the way they've gone about the whole thing, just from afar looking.
Has he got anyone looking at? Do you know? I haven't heard. I think Sean Foley nicked off a while ago. He's got some.
Chris Como,
Chris Como, is it?
who's famous, I think, because he jumped off a 10-metre high diving board,
And?
swinging a club just to measure some effects of
Chris Como
gravity or
took
something.
a golf club to a 10-metre
This
diving
is true. This is true.
board thing,
He was measuring something.
and he took a
jumped off.
backswing
He
and
jumped
then
off,
swung the club.
and he wanted to measure something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was bizarre.
And that's the guy coaching Tiger Woods at the moment.
Yep, that is 100%.
I don't know about you,
I'm going to
Craig,
check in the
but
break.
anyone who is searching for answers by swinging a golf club while jumping off a 10-metre diving board, I'm not listening to that guy.
All right. Well, what about if you listen to this guy
Who?
off the SMS,
Yeah.
Dean and Mooney
Yeah.
Ponds, that is.
Yeah.
Hank Haney thinks he can win with that swing.
I read that.
Hank Haney's, I'm running for the hills, waving my hands above my head, screaming if Hank Haney comes anywhere near me.
Hank Haney should never get work again after what
Not
he
in
did
this
to
town.
Tiger Woods.
No,
And I know
that's-
Tiger Woods was winning majors under Hank Haney, and I get it, but that golf swing was a disaster. And the only reason he was winning majors because he's the best putter and up and down guy we've ever seen, ever. Hank Haney destroyed Tiger Woods.
Yes, and it wasn't easy.
I'll
it
ask
was
you-
hard for Hank to do
I'll
it.
ask you, how many? If Butch Harmon wasn't a loud talker, because that's what if you read Hank Haney's book,
Yeah.
one of the reasons that Tiger got rid of Hank is because Butch Harmon was a loud talker on the driving range. So if Hank wasn't a loud talker, and they got along still, and things were just humming, and he's still using that beautiful swing from '99, 2000, and he wasn't jumping out of helicopters and hurting knees, and he was still with Elon. That was going,
Yeah,
they were
going
just
great.
a great couple. If all that stuff just worked beautifully for him,
At the Rippers.
Elon would never have gone to the ballet over there in Florida, mate. Never
No,
in a
she
million
never
years.
knew about it, but he was at
Never
the
in a million
Rippers.
years.
He
Yeah,
was
all
at-
that stuff. If that never took place,
Yes.
how many extra on top of his 14 majors and 18 World Golf Championship events would he have now?
I know this doesn't sound like much, but I reckon he would have got to 18, right? And that sounds like only four
Only
more,
4
right?
extra, yeah.
Maybe even slightly beyond, but I'll just safely say 18. And he would be now considered unparalleled the greatest golfer that ever played. Because he would also have, on top of the 4,
The
an extra
WGCs.
dozen to 16 regular events.
Regular events.
And he would be well over 100. Well, it'd be I can't remember. What's he on, 90? What was Sammy Snead? 88 or
70
91?
something. I
or-
don't know.
yeah.
Don't know.
Anyway, he'd be
It's
approached-
18 WGCs and 14 majors, and I think he won 6 USGA amateur events. So 3 in a row US juniors
Yep.
and 3 in a row US amateurs. Stunning stuff. I'll tell you what, I reckon he would have won 28 majors.
What?
28. If he stayed with Butch. 28 majors,
28.
30 WGCs. Would have been laughing at the rest of the world. Let me know.
Wowza.
We'll do a poll off the SMS machine, 0433 98 11 16. If Tiger Woods didn't chase skirt, stayed with Butch Harmon,
He can stay with the Rippers.
stop going to the Rippers, and basically led that life that we all thought he was leading, how many majors would he have today? 0433 98 11 16. Craig Spence reckons 18. I reckon 28. We'll see what our listeners think. Mark Hayes is going to join us next.
On 1116 SEN, Chasing Birdies with Mark Allen and Craig Spence for St Andrews Beach, the best public access golf course on the Australian mainland.
Welcome back to Chasing Birdies. A big thanks to St Andrews Beach. It is the best public access golf course on the Australian mainland. There's no doubt about that. Midweek specials just at the moment. Get a cart. You and your mates go down there. You can have the course to yourself. Weekends book early because it's getting there to that time of year where it's warm and the place will be booked out very, very soon. So get those bookings in very, very early. Now, we're trying to get a hold of Mark Hayes. I know he's up at the Murray at the moment, Craig. I haven't been to the Murray for ages to play golf up there, but everyone who comes back tells me it is sensational.
Yeah, good spot. Good spot. I used to like going up to play Cobram Baruga tournament.
Yeah.
36-36.
36 and 36?
Yeah,
Was that an
72.
Ivo Witten back in the day?
Yeah, it's still a good tournament.
Yeah, righto. Marcus Fraser's from up there as well. He's a big rap. Now, while we're trying to get a hold of Hazy, we've got 22 majors, 17 majors, 23 or 24. That's from Aaron and Glen Roy. I'll go with Spanner. That's you, Craig.
Yep.
20. This one, I like this one. On the 7 a.m. flight to New Zealand to play Cape Kidnappers with a mate to celebrate his 50th birthday. How about a shout out to Agates from Don Vale, who loves the Rippers just like Tiger. Good on you, Agates.
I like this one from Anonymous. It's not a question about if Tiger hadn't chased Skirt. It's a question of if he hadn't been caught.
Yeah, that's a nice
What
one.
if he didn't get caught? Was that a bigger deal than him leaving? There you go. Was that a bigger deal or Butch? Was it the Butch leaving?
Well, maybe if he had to live like, he didn't want to live, but never did anything, maybe he would have only won 18, 17 majors like you're saying. Maybe if he continued the lifestyle and it never, ever got out, maybe that's when he won the 28 majors.
I think
I'd love to do the sliding doors.
If he stays with the Butch and the Rippers.
Yeah. So if you could keep that crazy
sort of-
life going.
That balancing act.
So if that was the
like.
case, do you change his 18 majors?
If he keeps that crazy lifestyle,
Yeah.
No,
I'm basically doing what he wants.
I say 18 to 20.
18 to 20.
All
Righto.
right. If he goes, if he stays with Butch and still goes through the breakdown, the gets caught,
You think it's a big
the
factor
public
there?
scandal.
Yeah.
I think that probably cuts him down to 17, maybe 18. I reckon it costs him 2 or 3.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting, isn't it?
That
Because
knocked him around.
the last one he won was 2008 at Torrey Pines, wasn't it? The US Open that he beat Rocco Mediate
Rocco.
on the 91st.
Worst golf swing that almost won a major.
How about that
Rocco.
he came out in the playoff and he wore black and red like he knew Tiger was going to try and put him off.
He wore a red shirt, did he?
He wore black pants and a red shirt to try and put Tiger off.
He wasn't
And
frightened.
And he got all the way, like 18 holes playoff, they're still tied, and Tiger got him on the first playoff hole. He did all that with a broken leg.
What about that putt he made, the one that barely hit the ground?
That didn't stay on the ground. It bounced 15 times.
It bounced 15 times.
Yeah.
And
Went in the
when
right edge.
when the balls are bouncing, they don't tend to lip in, do they?
Unless it bounces at the perfect time and bounces in.
But
Yeah,
this
but you're
one
right.
didn't. It kind of jumped, and it even jumped on the back lip and then fell in. That was one of the great. Yeah, probably is that the greatest major win of Tigers? Do you think? Or is it the US Open at 2000? He
know.
won by 15, or the
I want to know more about that win. 91 holes with a broken leg. That's what he told us.
absolutely.
And won a major.
He was the greatest. Well, as we talk about him here,
How did he do that?
do you put him down even with everything he's been through, all the swing coaches? Sean Foley, by the way, doesn't get enough of a kick in the rear end for what
For what he did?
in my opinion.
No, he was trying to reinvent the wheel, wasn't he?
Yeah. But is he the greatest of all time, or is Jack?
Righto. So the majors count for a lot, but I think so does the strength of field. And I think Tiger, the strength of field that he was dominating, makes up for the 4 majors that he was short. I think Tiger Woods was the greatest player the game has ever seen. Simple. Jack's second, but Tiger, no one played golf like that. Nobody.
Greatest pressure putter we've
Ever.
ever seen.
Yeah. The greatest rough player. And you think about, the rough on the US Tour, you've been there. I mean, regular tour events, when you turn up to a regular tour event, it looks like, if you've never been to an Open, it looks like US Open rough. That guy hitting 7 irons out of US Tour rough, he was the best ever at his best.
A few weeks ago, we talked about putting, right? Now, I watched our man that came down the stretch last Sunday,
Pat
Perez, and won the CIMB. So he's got a 6-shot lead to start the day. He goes out, birdies 3 of the first 4 holes, 3 of the first 5 holes, whatever. But he gets to that quirky part where all of a sudden, I think his lead goes from 6 back to 5, and all of a sudden he's got about 9 or 10 holes. He's got the hardest part of the course going. Did you watch his putting display on the back 9?
It was unbelievable, and he wasn't grinding either. So so tell people what happened. He played really well. He hit the ball beautifully, the front 9, basically 10, 11 as well, maybe 12.
Yep.
No, 10, 11.
He parred the entire back 9.
And then his hitting fell apart. He was hitting it fat off the tee with irons. He was. It became.
Clearly,
he was choking.
He clearly started choking. Now he has no pre-shot routine, right? He basically, which I don't mind because he just walks in and relies on instinct and hits, right?
He does his work before he swings,
which is good. He has an awkward, quirky swing where he raises up before he takes the club away. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Yeah, I did. And the club starts not behind the ball. It starts in a weird spot.
Which tells me he's worked on backswing stuff and things in the past.
Curry Webb-like start to the swing, which is unusual.
Some very strange actions out there. But he starts missing with irons.
Yeah.
Right. And drivers right. Nearly everything was right.
Yeah.
Actually.
And a little bit of water on the left, and he was missing it way right.
Way right, which was the anti.
That's the anti. I'm not hitting it in that water swing. Yeah.
But he makes putt after putt from 6, 8, 12 feet right in the jaws.
Right in the middle.
Beautiful.
Looked like he didn't care. Didn't that look like he didn't care?
Absolutely.
And that was unusual seeing that, because normally in that situation when you've got a 4-shot lead and you know you're choking, and he would have known he was choking, then those putts become very important, because if you bogey one and you're choking, it's very easy to make a double somewhere. And then you're choking and you've only got a 1-shot lead, and then you go, hang on a second, I had a 4-shot lead again. I'm going to look really stupid if I lose this tournament when I had a 4-shot lead with 7 to play.
Yeah.
All those things come into play when you start choking. Believe me, I know, folks. So for him to make those putts, Craig, with effortless laziness, it almost looked lazy.
Yeah.
God, it was impressive.
No, it was close. The strokes he put on those putts were Jordan Spieth like with that left hand low.
Yep.
But what else struck me on that back 9 was how wet his shirt was getting.
Why do you notice this?
The sneakers. What's with the sneakers?
The high tops. Now, if you didn't see
it,
he was wearing Air Jordan high tops that have a spike in them, a soft spike. He's the first person to ever win on the US Tour with Air Jordans, isn't he?
Yes. Apparently he's got 150 pair of Air Jordans at home.
Yeah, he does not.
And
150 pair.
And that's not the only pair in the house at home.
Yeah, I know. That pair the pair you're talking about was purchased after his last tour win. So I think he won really early. Then he won last year, and it was a huge break. Then he bought the pair that you're talking about.
At home.
At home. Although, I think the pair was...
Active on Twitter too.
Yes. So,
right.
It's a well-known pair on tour. It's fair to say.
Is it really?
Well, you can't miss the pair.
Really?
Oh, they're everywhere.
Oh, but not that particular pair? Like all pairs, or that particular pair?
No, that particular pair.
Are well-known on tour?
Well-known. No, not... I can't say anymore. It's getting ridiculous.
All right.
That'll do.
Well, what did you make of the outfit, Marco? Like,
no, I don't like
you used
high
to
tops.
like... You're still wearing a Gazman shirt to this day.
Yeah.
What is that?
No, it's Uniqlo, this one.
Uniqlo?
Yeah,
I love Uniqlo.
I love the Gazman pants for golf. They're great. I used to wear a lot of Gazman when I was playing.
What did you think of the sloppy white shirt that's getting more and more wetter and hanging lower as it sort of
I think it's
Gets
just.
later.
I think there's a few of them playing in Malaysia. It's a pretty hot joint, Craig. It's a pretty hot joint.
It's the hardest place to wear a nice shirt in the world, Malaysia.
Oh, you can't. No.
Singapore.
Oh, Singapore, I used to throw my clothes away. I used to pack my bag, and at the end of the week, I would leave my clothes in the hotel room in the bin.
No point.
Because they were destroyed.
Done.
They were absolutely destroyed. Hey, before we take a break, because the quiz is coming up next, 9429 1116, if you want to jump on. And new rules with the quiz too. So if you get on, don't go anywhere because we're just going round and round. So the first 4 or 5 to call in, they're the only ones playing. Good point here about Tiger and Jack and who was the best. Don't forget Jack had the most seconds. So I think he won 18 majors. I think,
True.
what, 21 seconds or something?
Yeah, lots.
Tiger hardly had any seconds. I think his only second was to...
Who was it?
the Korean guy who held the bag above his head.
Yes.
Wai Yang.
Yes, Wai Yang.
Might have
Great
been his
call.
only
Great
second in a
call.
major. That might have been his only. Well, there might have been. It must have been a couple seconds in majors.
But you got to take your hat off to that. He couldn't lose.
Yeah.
If he ever got the lead at any point, he won.
Yeah. Oh, third round lead, he won, except against Wai Yang. We'll take a break. Come back with the sportsbet.com.au quiz.
On 1116 SEN, Chasing Birdies with Mark Allen and Craig Spence for St Andrews Beach, the best public access golf course on the Australian mainland.
Yeah, massive thanks to St Andrews Beach. We love the support here on Chasing Birdies. It is the best public access golf course on the Australian mainland. It is time for the sportsbet.com.au quiz. Just looking at where are they playing this week, Craig?
Well, we've got
Where are they going?
Valderrama
Ooh,
Masters.
yeah.
We got that. We
I
got
love
the WA
Valderrama.
Open, Marco, this week.
I'm not sure we'll go there.
Well, we got our man
Curtis Luck?
Curtis Luck, who
Yeah,
will be
defending.
playing, defending and course record holder.
What's the CJ Cup?
CJ Cup is the US Tour event in South Korea, not North Korea. That's
Can we
for
go
sure.
Valderrama?
No, go to the CJ Cup. That's the one. That's the big one.
What do you mean it's the big one?
Yeah, that's the big one. That's the US Tour
Ooh.
event. It's in South Korea. That's all
the
the big
South
boys.
Korean one, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, all the biggies.
All the big boys will be there.
Oh, so is this the WGC?
Yes, that's a WGC
Well,
event.
we're not going anywhere else.
CJ, the course, it does look interesting. It looks a bit,
Oh, no.
Americanized, but it does look interesting.
Okie doke. We're live on Facebook. Head to facebook.com/SEN1116. You can have a look at Craig's shorts. Dale's first up tonight. G'day, Dale.
How you going?
Yeah, good, Dale. Now, if you get it wrong, Dale, don't go anywhere because Anthony and Dean, if they both stuff it up, it will come back to you, all right?
Yep, no worries.
All right, no worries. Question number 1, please.
Dale, Pat Perez had his third win in Malaysia last week, but who won the US Masters this year? That was quirky.
Oh, no. Bad luck, Dale. Don't go anywhere. Anthony's in Brunswick. G'day, Anth. Anthony's gone.
Oh, Dino.
Oh, Dino. Dino,
back.
get this. G'day, Dino.
G'day, Craig. G'day, Mark. How are we going?
Yeah, well, how are the biceps?
Yeah, good. Just a work in progress, Mark.
Nice.
Plugging away.
Good stuff.
Thanks.
Who won the Masters, dude?
Garcia.
Righto. Question number 2.
Nice, Dino. Tyrell Hatton has won the last 2 European Tour events after his win in Italy. But who won the US Open this year? Oh, I see what you're doing.
See what I'm doing? Yeah.
Brooks Koepka.
Nice.
Marcus Fraser shot a 62 in the opener, in the Italian Open last week. But who won the British Open this year?
Jordan Speed, Craig.
I guess you probably think you can guess the
Probably
next one.
reckons he knows what he's
And
going.
Cam Smith shot 64 in the first and the 4th round in Malaysia last week to finish tied 5th. Who won the PGA this year?
Justin Thomas.
Dino, give us that big donger.
Well done, Dino.
Well done. Yeah, well done. Dino, who do you want? Justin Thomas at $8.50. He's your man. Jason Day, $13. Paul Casey, $13. Mark Leishman, $19. Xander Schauffele, $19. I like the way he goes about things. Daniel Berger. Wasn't happy with Daniel Berger at the President's Cup. Probably a little bit aggressive on camera. Do that stuff behind the doors, we understand, but not on camera. Tony Finau is going to have a breakout season, I reckon. $23. Adam Scott, $29. Your mate, Dean, Patrick Reed, he's at $29. Anyone? Oh, Pat Perez, he's at $31.
Look, what are your thoughts, Craig? Give me something. You're a great tipster.
Well, I think Pat's going to be that worn out from how heavy that big white thick shirt was.
Yeah.
And those
He lost a lot of weight.
those Air Jordans was weighing him down.
He'd be on a drip right now.
Schauffele.
Schauffele.
I love his action and the way he goes about it. I love the fact he hits a 2-iron about 300 yards.
What about Thomas Peters at $36?
Yeah,
No.
Mark Leishman or Schiffelli for me on $19 Dino.
Oh, mate. Thomas Peters, $36. That is great
Yeah,
value.
but come on.
Yeah, who you want then?
Good, Craig and Mark. No good this week. No.
Who?
Jason Day's playing, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, he's trying to hit it too hard.
Come on, it's so hard these days. He takes at least 3 weeks to warm up, Jason.
I don't mind Leishman over there. Go low.
Oh.
You know, he's got the game. What do you think?
Yeah,
I think it's rock
Yeah,
solid.
absolutely.
$19
Distance
is on the
controller.
money. He's on the money. If you're looking for value,
Great.
seriously, Thomas Peters, how the hell is he $36?
He's in great
How
form.
can he be at $36 and Leishman be at $19?
Because-
It's the same player.
Because Leishman almost won every World Golf Championship in the last month.
Well, Thomas Peters is a hack, he plays well everywhere.
He's good.
Yeah, all right. Dino, good luck. Who'd you pick again?
We'll go Leishman.
Righto,
Dean,
Mark Leishman.
hey, Dean,
Yeah, mate.
why haven't you been at Woodlands?
No, I've been in Bali. I was in Bali, but I was going to ring you up and say Dean from the Boot. I was in Bali for 3 months, but I'm back there. I'm playing there next Thursday. Just great golf course, and I liked your chat about it earlier.
Are you still going to the Albert Park driving range, Dino?
Mate, I was there yesterday. Mark,
Good.
it's not the same without you and Craig there, but
it's better.
They're still plugging along.
We're there.
It's better, mate. No, you might see more of Craig very soon. Good on you, Dino. Thanks, buddy. We'll take a break. We'll be back in a tick.
On 1116 SEN, Chasing Birdies with Mark Allen and Craig Spence for St Andrews Beach, the best public access golf course on the Australian mainland.
Welcome back to Chasing Birdies, the 99 Masters champion, Craig Spence. Great to have him back in the studio. A lot of people want to talk about a few things that we've been talking about. Now, the WGC, let's make this clear, because we've got a text message saying that the WGC's next week. So we looked it up. The CJ Cup at Nine Bridges. Now, this tournament's in Korea. $9,250,000 purse, which is the same as the HSBC Champions World Golf Championship, which is next week. So the WGC is next week. That's in Shanghai. A lot of big tournaments at the moment in Shanghai.
Big.
Did Federer just beat Nadal in Shanghai, or I think he did.
Yeah.
I think it was Shanghai. So this one's a big one as well, mate. 9.25. It's not even a world. It's not a world
Golf
golf
Championship.
championship. So your average purse, like the Safeway Open, how about your average purse these days? Safeway Open, $6.2 million. The CIMB Classic, that's in Kuala Lumpur, $7 million US.
CIMB was.
That's just an ordinary tournament.
Yep.
This one coming up, the CJ Cup, no extra status.
Yep.
$9.25 million. And then the World Golf Championship event, which is limited field, $9.25 million.
What are the majors now? The majors are about.
I think the Masters
12?
is 10.
The Masters, you reckon's 10.
Yeah, I think it's 10, but a very limited field. Only about 50 people make the cut in that one. 10 million, but everyone gets paid. The Open Championship's up around, what, 6 million pounds, 7 million pounds or
Yeah,
something? I don't know.
Yeah.
Pounds we're talking about.
They say-
Everyone gets paid in that one too. Yeah.
What was the old saying that whatever the prize money's worth, it's about twice or triple that to run the event?
Yeah, it's in the old days. So
Probably triple now.
Well, they've got to be the superannuation plan's got to run side by side. So you'd reckon if there's 7 million for the CIMB Classic last week, then you reckon there's got to be at least, I don't know, a little $3 million special going next to it. So that's a $10 million. So they've just got to chuck in so much cash. It is ridiculous.
So Perez's better half at home.
Yes.
Pat's.
What are you doing?
What's her Twitter?
What is
How do
it?
you how does, for our listeners who want to check out?
Pat's wife's Twitter page.
Yes.
Really? Now listen, I've been at this radio station coming up to 14 years, and you're not going to get me kicked off in the next 20 seconds. The feature hour coming up with
Jordan. New Air Jordans at home. Wait for it.
This week is Peter King, and hopefully I'll see you next week.